We shouldn't talk about this may contain graphic descriptions and/or explicit content that may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Hi, everybody. I'm Key,
And I'm V.
and this is We Shouldn't Talk About This.
Key. This
Ah,
is such
V.
a lovely day.
Beautiful day.
We are in quarantine recording once again.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what I was thinking about?
What's that?
How are hotels doing right now?
Probably not so great.
No?
I mean, you can't have gatherings more than 3 people, so I don't think they're gonna. Yeah, I don't think they're doing so great.
And you know what else?
What?
It's our 13th episode.
And you know what else?
What?
Hotels don't have 13 floors.
You think what I'm thinking?
We shouldn't talk about crimes that are committed in hotels.
We should talk about crimes that are committed in hotels.
I think that works. I think it's super weird that like that type of superstition has lasted so long that like hotels do not purposely skip the third. They do purposely skip the 13th floor.
Yeah, I think that is very crazy. I do think that's crazy also.
Like, how superstitious do you have to be to say, okay, 12, 14, but that's technically 13th
It's
floor.
still 13 floors, yeah.
Like, I don't care what you
You're
call
just
it.
counting it 14.
You can call it the salami floor. It's
It's
still
still
number
13.
13. Yeah.
That is
Maybe
something
they should
else.
make a floor for 13 that's just completely empty, like just structural and just an empty space. And then boom,
Boom.
rooms on the next floor going up.
They should adapt this idea so that they don't have like when someone comes to audit them, they don't have 24 floors because there's only because like the button on the elevator goes 24, but there's only 23 floors because it skipped 13.
Yeah.
That's an audit.
And then that would be a great place to store all their things.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
all the cleaning stuff.
yeah,
Well, I have a very interesting case for this. Do you?
I do. Like, this case it's crazy.
Well, let us hear about it. We shouldn't talk about crimes committed in hotels.
Oh, am I going first this time?
You're going first this time.
Oh, well, I guess me bumming him out on the last episode is like really taking the wind out of his sails on going first.
Yeah, cause like we gotta say our starter line.
Oh, gather around, children. It's time for a tale of crime.
Gather around, children. Time for a tale of crime.
So, my hotel that has been a hotbed of crazy is the Hotel Cecil.
Hmm.
Have you ever heard of it?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, you may know it by its current name because it still exists, and we'll get to that. Well, actually, no, I'll go ahead and tell you. It's called Stay on Main Hotel. Like, so they've really tried to distance themselves from all the goings on that has happened under the name Cecil Hotel or Hotel Cecil. And that's all I'll say. I'll get to my story now.
Okay.
In the heart of downtown Los Angeles, California, on South Main, nestled unassumingly between 6th Street and 7th Street, lies one of the most infamous buildings in the USA, the Cecil Hotel. Now, the Cecil was built in 1924 by a hotelier, William Banks Hanner. It was supposed to be a destination hotel for international businessmen and social elites. Hanner spent $1 million in 1924 now,
Whoa.
$1 million on a 700-room Beaux Art style hotel complete with a marble lobby, stained glass windows, palm trees, and an opulent staircase.
First of all, that's insane.
That is
Second of all, do you know how much money that is nowadays?
$10 trillion.
Well, it's only 14.8 million, but still,
That's a lot.
that's still a big jump.
That is. That's a lot for 1924.
That's this guy.
That's for like all the money in the world combined put
Yeah.
into this hotel.
Who is this person? He's like a king or something.
A hotelier.
A hotelier.
So, just 2 years after the Cecil opened, the world was thrown into the Great Depression.
Mm.
And soon enough, the surrounding area or the area surrounding the Cecil Hotel would be dubbed Skid Row.
That's a bruh moment if I ever heard one.
A what?
A bruh moment.
A bro moment, right? Like you could imagine he just dumped all the world's money into making this 700 room, 19 floor hotel,
Mm.
and 2 years later, the economy crashes and nobody's like
Nobody's no.
so. And if you look on maps like today, it says Skid Row like on maps. Like so this is like legitimately what they call it still. So the Cecil became known as a budget hotel, and that attracted displaced people. Like Skid Row became home to like thousands of homeless people in Los Angeles. And so prostitution, drugs, all of that, like that was going on around the Cecil. Now, some would say that the Cecil Hotel was doomed from the start. In the 1930s alone, the Cecil was home to at least 6 reported homicides. A few residents ingested poison, while others shot themselves, slit their own throats, or jumped from their room windows.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of everything that's been reported happening at the Cecil Hotel. Now, some of these are crimes, some of these are unsolved, some of these are they just don't even know, like, did the person jump, were they pushed, did they fall accidentally, like some of these are just flat out mysteries. So here we go with the history of the Cecil. November 1931, 46-year-old W.K. Norton checked in as James Willis. After getting to his room, the man took a large amount of poison pills and ended his life.
Poison pills.
Poison pills. It was 1931. That's what they called them.
Mm.
He's probably like, "Hey, see, give me some of them poison pills." Like, it's probably what he said when he went to the pharmacy. You know, they talk weird back then. Like, what?
And them their zoot suits.
Yeah, why did they all have that weird accent? That's weird. Okay.
It's jive, see?
Yeah. Hey, see, give me some of that Robitussin and some poison pills. Wait, was Robitussin invented back then? I don't know. Okay, roughly a year later, on September 17th, 1932, 25-year-old Benjamin Dudick checked into the hotel, concealing a gun and his belongings. When a maid went to clean his room, Dudick was found dead of what was deemed to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head.
No one heard that?
Apparently not. Now, maybe it's a well-built hotel. I mean, he dumped a lot of money into it.
Mm.
The main floor was marble, so
Oh my gosh.
it was probably soundproof ish. Okay, so in 1934, Army Sergeant Louis D. Borden slashed his throat with a razor and left behind a series of suicide notes which detailed his poor health as the main reason for his choice to end his life.
That's a tough way to go.
Right. I just can't even see doing that to yourself. Like,
Because the way it's depicted in movies, like you're gasping for air while
and
that's
you have to
happening.
apply a lot of pressure to cut deep enough to
Yeah.
really.
Oh.
I don't know if that one was really self-inflicted. I don't know. Question mark on that one.
Mm-hmm.
In 1937, Grace E. Margot became the first of many people to fall to her death from one of the hotel's higher floors. As Margot plummeted from her ninth floor window, her body became tangled in the telephone wires. Now, authorities were unsure whether her death was intentional, meaning they didn't know if she jumped, was pushed, or if she accidentally like fell out the window and, just happened like she wasn't intending to kill herself. She just fell.
So she got electrocuted?
She died. I don't know if I'm gonna guess so. It didn't say electrocution, but she got tangled up in the wires.
Because,
Yeah.
I mean, because like on a cartoon, if you
Oh
fall into
Lord.
telephone wires, you just get like raveled up in it, and like it breaks your fall. But in real life, I don't know how conductive telephone wires are back in the forward
1937. So
37.
I would think they're not
They're definitely way more
as
primitive.
thickly coated with rubber as they are nowadays because birds sit on telephone wires all the time.
Hmm.
So I would think they wouldn't have been protected like that. So if she didn't get electrocuted, maybe just like she got tangled but kept falling,
Mm. Or
and the fall is what killed her.
yeah. Hmm.
So that's another one because they don't know what caused her to go out the window. So that's another mystery. In 1938, 38-year-old Roy Thompson of the Marine Corps jumped from atop the Cecil Hotel and was found on the skylight of a neighboring building. Yeah. That same year, 39-year-old naval officer Erwin Neblett checked into the Cecil, and similarly to W.K. Norton, he poisoned himself to death.
So what's the whole thing about this? Is this hotel cursed?
That's what people say. Like it's a lot going on with this
Mm.
because we're only up to 19. Well, we're up to 1940 now.
Oh heavens.
In 1940, 45-year-old teacher Dorothy Shiger consumed poison at the Cecil. The Los Angeles Times described Shiger's condition as near death, but no other reports were filed about her. So there's no conclusion as to whether the poisoning actually killed her or not. So she's just put down as one of the people who were, hurt,
Mm.
harmed. In September 1944, 19-year-old Dorothy Jean Purcell. Now, bear with me, this story is a bit rough.
Okay.
She awoke in the middle of the night with stomach pains while she was staying at the Cecil with Ben Levine, who was 38. She went to the bathroom so as to not disturb him, and to her complete shock, gave birth to a baby boy. Yeah. She said she had no idea she had been pregnant. I call bullshit on that. I've been pregnant. Trust me, you know. But you know what? You know what? Every pregnancy is different. I mean, every pregnancy is different.
Yeah.
So maybe she didn't know. I don't know. I just.
every
Fi-
every pregnant infancy.
yes, that's how unbelieving I am. Like, it just jumbled my brain. So, mistakenly thinking that her newborn was dead, Purcell threw her live baby out the window onto the roof of the building next door.
That is no.
So, she was tried for murder.
Hmm.
But at her trial, she was found not guilty of murder by reason of insanity and was admitted to a hospital for psychiatric treatment.
Dude, I feel like people are getting silenced here. I feel like people are getting silenced. Like the teacher, like her case was closed. I think she got silenced. This one, insanity. I think she got silenced too.
Yeah, like this one, like I guess, she was young. Maybe, the baby wasn't moving around a lot and she was like, oh no, maybe that's why I didn't know I was pregnant because it was dead all this time. And I was like, whoop, that's horrible.
What about the 38-year-old man? They ask him any questions? You have any? You have any?
He was probably married. Now, in 1947, 35-year-old Robert Smith jumped out of a window on the Cecil's seventh floor. This one right here is crazy. October 22nd, 1954. Helen Gurney, who was in her 50s, leapt from a seventh floor window, landing on the Cecil marquee. That's not the crazy one, but she did not survive that. Julia Moore jumped from her eighth floor window on February 11, 1962, and it was said she left behind a bus ticket from St. Louis, 59 cents, and the Illinois bank account book showing a balance of $1,800. So her jumping is kind of sketchy.
She was silenced. She knew something. She walked in
So
on something.
some of these are real red flaggy, like something's going on here. Later in October the same year, this is the crazy one. 65-year-old George Gianni was walking by the Cecil with his hands in his pockets, minding his business, out for a stroll, when he was struck by a falling woman.
Oh my gosh.
Pauline Otten, 27, jumped from her ninth floor window after an argument with her estranged husband, Dewey. Now, before you even go there, Dewey had left the room prior to Otten's jump. According to him, the police accepted that. And her fall killed both her and Gianni instantly. Now, the police initially thought the two had committed suicide together, but reconsidered when they found Gianni was still wearing his shoes and hands in his pockets. If he had jumped, his shoes would have fallen off and his
From the
hands
impact.
would not have been in his pockets.
Dude, I am trying to picture this. She jumped or was thrown out of her window. You know, the spouse always did it.
Right.
Out of her window. And she lands on this man who is walking down the street with his hands in his pocket.
Minding his business.
Minding his own business. How did she...
Do you know how many things have to go exactly right for that to happen? Like, had he left his house 1 minute later or 1 minute earlier? Had he stopped to tie his shoe? Had
he found a penny in his pocket and you're like, oh, look at that.
had her husband been in the room and grabbed her, and maybe her dress ripped and she fell out slower, he would have already been up on the sidewalk. Like, everything had to line up perfectly for her to fall and hit him and kill them both.
I wonder how many cases people fall on other people. And you know, in my mind, I was thinking like, you know, oh, that'll break her fall. But I guess like gravity is still like at like not maximum velocity, but still at a high enough velocity. I don't, yeah.
Well, the ninth floor, I don't even know how tall like the first floor
Like the lobby or
is.
whatever.
Yeah, so depending on the height of the first floor, each subsequent floor is usually about 10 feet. That's the standard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's at least 90 feet.
At least 90 feet.
Unless the lobby is like super tall.
Mm-hmm.
Then who knows how many feet it is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
My boy Johnny he didn't deserve that.
he didn't deserve that at all.
He probably just like retired yesterday.
Right. And was just like, wow.
I could walk down the road without worrying about going to work tomorrow.
Right. Jeez. So, Pigeon Goldie Osgood, a retired telephone operator.
Their name, Pidgey.
It was a nickname. And coming up is how she got the nickname.
You sure it's not Peggy?
Pigeon. I can read. It explains where her nickname comes from very briefly.
Okay.
So, Pigeon Goldie Osgood, a retired telephone operator, was found dead in her ransacked room on June 4th, 1964. Osgood was known for protecting and feeding the pigeons at the nearby Pershing Square. It was reported that she was stabbed, strangled, and raped. Now, one suspect was found walking with blood-stained clothes nearby, but he was later cleared and the crime is still unsolved to this day. Yeah. I feel like LAPD was really not at its peak during these times.
Dude.
Like,
blood on his clothes.
Old girl falls from the window after arguing with her estranged husband. They think she committed a double suicide with some random guy. And then her husband's like, oh no, I left the room. I don't even know what happened. And they were like, okay. This person walking around in bloody clothes. Person has been stabbed.
He's like, I'm a butcher. I just forgot my clothes. I just forgot my work clothes.
Oh, okay. Carry on, sir. Like,
have a good day, bud.
Now, there's also some other strange happenings, like the case of the still unidentified woman who jumped or fell or was pushed from the 12th floor in 1975. The case remains unsolved and her identity remains unknown. She checked in under like a fake name. and they were never able to figure out who she really was
Wow.
or how she got out the window. Now, in the mid 80s, Richard Ramirez, better known as the Night Stalker, lived in a room on the top floor of the hotel during much of his killing spree, where he killed 13 people.
13.
13. After killing someone, he would throw his bloody clothes into the Cecil's dumpster and walk into the hotel either via the back door or the lobby, either completely naked or only in underwear, but nobody thought it was suspicious. Now, at this time, Ramirez was able to stay there for a mere $14 a night. And with the corpses of junkies reportedly often found in alleys nearby the hotel and sometimes even in the hallways,
Oh my.
Ramirez's blood-soaked clothes were not a surprising find. Like apparently they just didn't set off any alarms.
Dude, the hotelier must be like flipping in his grave. Like, he did not want this kind of
This was
lifestyle in his
not
blueprints.
what he wanted. In 1991, an Australian serial killer and journalist, Jack Unterweger, also called the hotel home when he was assigned to write an article about prostitution in America. Now, he liked to strangle prostitutes with their own bras. So I'm pretty sure when somebody said, "Hey, let's send someone to America to write about prostitutes," he was like, "Oh, me, mate, me." Like,
What in the world?
so, and because the area around the Cecil was still popular with prostitutes, Unterweger stalked these areas in search of victims. Now, he was first convicted of murder in his home country of Austria. Oh, not Australia. My bad. Wrong accent. This is more of an Arnold Schwarzenegger because he was from Austria as well. So, his home country of Austria in 1974, but was released 15 years later after convincing authorities he was reformed.
Oh, dang.
Sadly, he soon fell back into his old habits, murdering 3 sex workers while on assignment in Los Angeles. Unterweger was later arrested in 1992, convicted of murder, and in June of 1994 was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. See, that's those harsh American sentences. He would not have been out on the streets.
Stay in Austria. You could have had 8 and only had to deal 8 months.
Right. So he realized what kind of mess he was in, and the night of his sentencing, he hanged himself in his cell.
Oh.
Now, rumor has it that he chose the Hotel Cecil because of its connection to Ramirez in the previous decade.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
He was like, inspired by the serial killer who had stayed there, so that's where he wanted to stay.
Hmm.
Now, the Cecil also has some strange cold cases tied to it. The most noteworthy would be a guest of the hotel by the name of Elizabeth Short, who became known as the Black Dahlia after her 1947 murder in LA. She reportedly stayed at her hotel just before her mutilation, which remains unsolved. What connection her death may have to the Cecil is unknown, but what is known is that she was found on a street not far away from the hotel the morning of January 15th. And her mouth was carved ear to ear and her body cut in two.
That's insanely disgusting.
Still unsolved. In 1992, September 1st, a black male adult was found deceased in an alley behind the Cecil. Authorities believe that he either fell from, jumped from, or was pushed from the hotel's 15th floor. He was wearing blue sweatpants and a black sweatshirt over a gray t-shirt. The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office placed his age at around 20 to 32 years, and his identity has never been established, and neither has the crime been solved.
Hmm.
So they had a good stretch from 1992. That was like one of the last older cases. In 2011, the Cecil attempted to shake off its macabre history by rebranding itself as the Stay on Main Hotel and Hostel, a $75 per night budget hotel for tourists. So, yes, it is still currently there, still currently operating, and people do still stay there for some weird reason.
Hmm.
Now, in 2013, I remember this story because I saw it on something like a Dateline or 48 Hours or something like that. In 2013, Canadian college student Elisa Lamb was found naked and deceased inside a water tank on the roof of the hotel 3 weeks after she had gone missing.
She was in the water tank.
In the water tank. Elisa was found after hotel guests had complained of bad water pressure and a funny taste to the water.
Oh, jeez. Oh my
Residents had
gosh.
brushed their teeth, drank, and bathed in the water for 19 days. Yeah. Hours before her death, surveillance cameras caught Lamb acting strangely in an elevator, at times appearing to yell at someone out of view, as well as attempting to hide from someone while pressing multiple elevator buttons and waving her arms erratically.
Hmm.
After the video surfaced, because I've seen this video and it is really strange. Like you can Google her name and watch the video. It's really weird. After it surfaced, many people began to believe that the rumors of the hotel being haunted might be true because they like no other camera angle showed anybody else.
Oh my gosh.
Horror aficionados began drawing parallels between the Black Dahlia murder and Lamb's murder, pointing out that both women were in their 20s, traveling alone from LA to San Diego, last seen at the Cecil Hotel, and were missing for several days before their bodies were found, which are very thin, thin connecting strings. Super thin. Like now her strange behavior is thought to be the result of an episode related to her bipolar disorder, and the coroner ruled her death an accidental drowning, saying there were no drugs in her system. But some still wonder how could she have gotten into the roof and into the water tank in the first place?
Yeah.
And furthermore, how would she have closed the lid behind her?
Hmm.
Access to the rooftop is off limits to guests and the public. The doors are locked and only the staff possess keys and passcodes. Any attempt to force open the door should have triggered an alarm. And the rooftop tanks are difficult to access.
Yeah, I was thinking that because like, that's the great things, right?
Yeah, so you have to like climb up like far because they're really up high. So you
Yeah.
have to like find a ladder to climb up to the ladder that's attached to it. And she didn't have any clothes on.
What in the world happened here?
So her case is still open. No one knows what happened, who did it, why, nothing.
That's crazy. It's especially for it to affect the water system. That is fire. That's so. Oh my gosh, that's such a evil thing. Ugh.
Right. And it's like, okay, if she got up there somehow, let's say the maintenance man left the door unlocked. She got up there at night, wandered around till she found a ladder, climbed up on the tank, opened it, climbed in, closed it, and laid in there and drowned. Like something is 2 plus 2 is not equaling 4 in this situation.
That's crazy.
So, unfortunately, that is still an open cold case. And the most recent death associated with the hotel occurred in 2015 when a 20 something year old unidentified man was found dead in front of the building. Some presumed he too fell to his death, although no official cause of death was determined, and it is unsolved and he is still unidentified.
Wow.
Now, this Hotel Cecil, or Stay on Main, is the hotel that served as the chilling inspiration for season 5, I believe, of American Horror Story, about the hotel that was home to unimaginable murder and mayhem.
The Hotel Cortez.
Yes, and you can see why. Like,
Hmm.
there was something about this hotel that just drove people crazy.
That poor hotelier had a dream to use his riches to make a nice, exotic, luxury stay place for us Americans. And what do we do?
And international businessmen.
International business. And what do we do?
Well, he could not have predicted the Great Depression,
Right. That's true.
and so that right there is, not his fault. But this hotel has some crazy history, and I would never stay there overnight. I don't even think I would want to walk down Main Street if I went back to Los Angeles. I would not. I probably drove by this place when I was there and like didn't even realize it because they changed the name.
Right. All right.
Because I've heard of Hotel Cecil before,
Yeah.
but not stay on Main. Like they really tried to. Look at their Yelp reviews; they're not good. There's ghosts everywhere in this hotel.
Ah, this water tastes like blood.
Like just chains dragging the floor all night. What is going on? Like their reviews are super bad.
Man.
But that's my story. That was a long list of crimes, possible crimes, not crimes, but
Yeah, it has my head spinning. The whole
right.
thing is ridiculous.
They should have burnt this place to the ground,
Hmm.
like way before 2011. Once they realized Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, was living there, that's when they
Yeah.
should have burnt it, like down in the 80s, dude.
Dude, wasn't you just walking in and walking back in naked? Like, hey guys, that's yeah, I'll see you later. Like they're like,
But I
okay.
mean, the 80s was still a rough time,
Mm,
so they didn't think it was weird. Maybe they thought he was just another drug addict.
yeah.
He was paying his
$14.
right.
Well, that was a very interesting story, Key. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
I'll be pondering these cases all night long now. But let me take you and our listeners to Amana, Iowa,
Never heard of it.
in the 1980s. It's near Williamsburg.
Iowa?
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Well, in September 1980, Miss Rose Burkett, age 22, and Roger Atkinson, age 32, were hoping to have a romantic weekend getaway when they checked into the Amada Holiday Inn near Williamsburg, Iowa.
What you doing? Nothing, chilling at the
Holiday
Holiday
Inn.
Inn.
Shout out to Chingy. But what they got was far from it. The day after they checked in, housekeeping went to clean the room but received no response from inside. Upon entering, the housekeeper saw feet peeking out from under the bed sheets and assumed the couple was asleep. But when she peered a little further, she discovered a grisly sight.
This nosy ass maid. Look at her.
Yeah, she trying to see something. She wants to see something freaky.
Like you cover your eyes, but your hands be like split open.
Yeah. Mm. What she saw was blood splattered on the walls, the carpet, across the headboard. The couple was laying face down on the bed with their skulls beaten in with a blunt object. Their hands and fingers showed defensive wounds as if they tried to protect their heads from the blows, which, of course, broke their fingers and
Yikes.
knuckles and everything. Yeah. No forced entry was. There was no sign of forced entry of the room. In fact, it looked like the couple had been entertaining because there were 2 chairs pulled up to the bed and evidence that someone put their feet on the hotel desk.
Wow, bow chicka wow.
So, let's get down to the investigation of this. In a Gazelle article dated September 18, 1980, Iowa County Medical Examiner Dr. Stacy Howell of Amana said both Burkett and Atkinson died of acute blood loss and brain injuries. Let's see, I'm reading the newspaper thing here. And so it says, Amana. Case of death has been established and cause of death has been established in the deaths two St. Joseph, Missouri residents found murdered Saturday at the Amana Holiday Inn on I-80 near Williamsburg. Dr. Stacy Howell, Iowa County medical examiner from Amana, told the Gazette this afternoon that Rose Burkett, age 22, and Roger Atkinson, age 32, died of acute blood loss and brain injuries. He said Atkinson suffered lacerations to the scalp, skull, and brain, and that Burkett suffered lacerations to the scalp, skull, and brain in a brain contusion. Both suffered bleeding under the brain covering, Howell said. Although sources close to the investigation said earlier this week the wounds were caused by an axe-like instrument, Dr. Howell said this afternoon that we are not saying what kind of instrument caused the injuries because we still don't know. After asking again if the injuries were consistent with those that would be inflicted by an axe, Howell said, "That's been a common rumor, but I don't know the particular reason why it should be, rather than some other kind of instrument." He refused to say whether the wounds were to the back or front of the head, but other sources said that the wounds were to the back of the head and to the hands, as if the victims tried to shield their heads against the attack from behind. In the meantime, Iowa County and state law enforcement authorities have interviewed hundreds of persons in connection with the murder and asking anyone who have been driving in vicinity of the Amana Holiday Inn on Friday night or early Saturday to report any unusual activity he may have observed. A hitchhiker or perhaps an unusual car are among things lawmen want to hear about. So they interviewed over 400 people in the
Dang.
hotel. Yeah, so everyone in the hotel had to get interviewed. And they use a polygraph test. And polygraph tests aren't the most effective
Accurate.
things. And the prime suspect was Rose's ex-boyfriend, Danny Burton. Burkett had a restraining order against him and had told authorities that he would be responsible if anything ever happened to her. Like, she just flat out said that because, like, he's crazy.
So that was like the night they checked in, though. So he would have had to been following them.
Yeah, because they live in Missouri. They both
Right.
live in Missouri, and
It
they got away.
that is crazy.
Took a little day trip to go to Iowa.
Wow.
So real quick, let me tell you about Danny Burton. Danny Burton was Rose's boyfriend. She kicked him out of the house due to an alleged drug use, and he allegedly been stalking her in the weeks before the murder. And Burkett had filed a complaint with the Andrew County Sheriff's Department in Missouri and told them that if she ended up dead, it would be because of her ex. She's a single mother. For being a single mother, she bought a dog for protection. She later found the dog hanging, butchered in front of her home.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah, he got the dog.
He is a true piece of dingleberry hardened shit.
I agree. I agree. But Burton had an alibi and passed the polygraph test.
Come on, people.
hmm And in our case, Burton also took a polygraph and he passed that. But another suspect was Atkinson's uncle, Charles Hatcher, who was a serial killer who had recently escaped from a Nebraska mental health center, but he was never even brought in for questioning.
But it was his uncle, so I mean, why would? Because he had mental health issues. They just, I don't know. That one felt like a leap.
Yeah, like just because he's a serial killer doesn't mean he's going to kill his nephew.
I mean, okay, maybe not that much of a leap. I totally glazed over the part that he was a serial killer.
Yeah, he was a serial killer who got to the same asylum. He escaped from the same asylum.
Okay, wow. Okay, so he definitely should have been a suspect and questioned, given one of their raggedy polygraphs that obviously doesn't work.
Oh, and also the other strange thing about the case was that in the bathroom there was a bar of soap that was used to carve the letters THIS on the mirror. So it said this on the mirror. That's
That's
very
weird.
vague.
Yes.
That's like a YouTube comment when you can relate to something like this, like
Maybe it stood for something like an inside, not inside joke, but like the letter stood for something that the killer knew what it was meaning, and they thought it would be like, if you're smart enough to figure this out.
Tom Hanks is super.
Tom Hanks is super, but I don't think that's what they meant.
I'm gonna get so much attention. I need to let them know about Tom Hanks.
Well, that plan failed.
So, in a Cedar Rapids Gazette story published Tuesday, September 16th, 1980, Iowa Division of Criminal Investigations, the DCI supervisor Tim McDonald said teletypes were being sent out of state in an effort to locate any similar crimes. He said about 400 people, including guests and Holiday Inn employees, had already been questioned. State investigators said neither guns nor drugs were involved in the deaths. We're we're not going to give up, DCI Director Gerald Shahanan told the St. Joe News Press in accepting September 24th, 1980, in review about the case. In a Gazette story published the following day, Shannon said there had been no headway in the case, but the agents from Missouri and Illinois were assisting in the case. According to the Gazette's September 25th story, agents were in Galesburg, Illinois, to investigate a similar murder committed less than 3 months earlier on June 25th. Authorities said a hatchet-like instrument was believed to be a weapon in both cases. And then, on December 21st, 1980, Gazette writer Peterson scribed about the little optimism in eastern Iowa murder probes. In the article, Iowa County Sheriff Superior referred to the Burkett-Atkinson slayings as the most perplexing in his 32 years of law enforcement. Shahanan left the DCI in 1983 and cited the Amana hatchet slaying and the disappearing of St. Demoy Register paperboy Johnny Ghosh as the two unsolved cases he would think about the most after his departure.
Johnny Gosh is a good story.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Shanahan was the main guy on that, the main investigator on those, both of them. He got two hard cases, I guess.
That is because Johnny Gosh still isn't solved.
Those kind of things will always remain with you, Shanahan said in the Spencer Daily Report story published in June 28, 1983. Hopefully, as time goes on, they will be solved. DCI and Burkett's close friend resurrect interest in the case. When in Iowa, DCI established a cold case unit in 2009. The Rose Burkett double homicide was amongst approximately 150 cases listed on the cold case unit's new website as those DCI hoped to solve using lasting advancements in DNA technology.
Yeah, because this was in 1980, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, if they collected things out of the room like evidence and held it, then they might get some DNA. That's smart. I like when they do that. Like they go back to cold cases and
Yeah.
try to get DNA hits.
Yeah, and there are pictures of the room layout and what they well pretty much where the bed was and the victims and then the bathroom and all that stuff like that. They have a blueprint of that on the website. And so that's pretty much all during that time. But Roger had a wife. He was cheating on her with Rose.
Damn, Roger.
Yeah, so it's one thing for the police to tell your wife that you're dead, but another thing to say that you're dead with another woman at a Holiday Inn.
In such a brutal way that obviously, what, 29 years later, it still hasn't been solved?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And so anyway, his widow Marcella Schatt shares with the St. Joseph News Press. This is 2016. Information about her marriage to Atkinson and the painful yearly anniversaries and how after 40 years she still has hope that the case will be solved. So it's still unsolved.
Dang.
There's a key person that knows what happened, she says. If that key person would just step forward and give us some information, I think it could be solved. Why doesn't she just put that person on blast? Like, why doesn't she just snitch on him at this point?
I don't think she means like there's a key person that she knows. I think she means there's a key person that was there.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay,
don't think she
okay.
meant she knew specifically who the key person was.
Gotcha, okay, okay. So Sheriff Robert Roeder with the Iowa County Sheriff's Office said detectives returned to St. Joseph last month to get a full grasp on the case. They revisited witnesses and collected blood samples to compare against any new discoveries. He said evidence was sent to a lab in the winter for an initial touch DNA test, which can analyze skin cells left on an object. They are awaiting results. 40 years later, the murder of the young couple remains unsolved. Investigators describe it as one of their most perplexing and unforgettable cases. They still have hope that it will be solved one day.
Damn.
40 years. Well, it'll be 40 years in September, but
That's crazy because it's like nobody heard anything, or we're assuming because they talked to all the other guests.
mm-hmm.
But it was a big hotel. It's not like they went to some rinky dink side of the road, like 10-room hotel.
No, they went to Holiday Inn. They were gonna have a nice time. They were in room 260, which like
I feel like it was her ex. Who else? Who else would have that kind of anger
he killed a dog.
and motive? You know how angry you have to be to beat two people to death?
Mm-hmm. Because I think with the cheer thing, I think like they went to a room and he was already in there and he had like a weapon in his hand. Maybe he had a gun and he was like, get on the bed, and then he put his feet up. He had his feet up on the table. He said, get on the bed, lay face down, and then probably like talking to him the whole time. Then probably beat him to death, and then beat her to death, and then left.
Yeah. Like I feel like he would have had to surprise them in order to get them both.
Because like I've heard cases before where someone passed a polygraph test, but then later on when they like investigate him again or whatever, that person is actually the suspect, the culprit.
Yeah, because polygraph tests are notoriously unreliable. That's why they can't be used in court.
Mm-hmm.
Like all it measures is like your heart rate and changes of stuff like that. Like it doesn't really
Yeah,
know.
if you're telling the truth or a
Like if you're
lie.
just a really good liar,
Mm-hmm.
or if you think what you did wasn't wrong, so it doesn't like affect you in a physical way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anybody with that type of mindset could beat a polygraph test.
Yeah, and he said he had an alibi, but I don't know. I didn't get any information on the alibi.
Now that's one of those kind of cold cases that I would like to know what happened. Like if I could just have like a list of cold cases, like what happened. Johnny Gosh would definitely be one of them
Mm-hmm.
because that one is so weird and so strange. And I'm not even going to get into
No,
any of the details of it, but it's so weird, that case, that it's like, what in the world happened? It's like, it's a couple cases out there that I'm like, ooh, if I just had omnipotent powers and I could be like, okay, these are the ones I want to know what really happened. That would be one because it had to be the boyfriend. Who else?
like the only
Or the wife. Maybe the wife knew.
you think the wife knew.
Oh my gosh.
It'd be like the twist all along.
Right. She's like, somebody knows something.
Yeah, and laughing to herself.
Right. All the
So you
while,
never know.
a axe is in her basement.
Because like the other one was that there was another hatchet like serial killer like with the same mo, well same tactics in Illinois, but and like just 3 months earlier. So that one was still unsolved too.
Well, was it a couple? Like, did it say? Was it a couple?
Nah, it just said a similar
Like the
murder
same
committed.
murder? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
with
mean,
a
I
hatchet like
guess
instrument.
that's like a possibility, but that just seems so unlikely that it would be those two and then nothing.
Or maybe maybe like this whoever this person is saw that news article and that and was like, if I use this weapon, I get them off my trail because they'll think it's this
Right,
person.
right. I definitely think it was her boyfriend or the wife.
You don't think it was the uncle?
I mean, I feel like that's a red herring. Like he could have, but I mean, come on. What? How would he know they were in Iowa?
At the Holiday
At
Inn.
yeah, come on. He just escaped. He's not worried about whereabouts of one random nephew,
Yeah,
unless
and
he
he
just
escaped
had a
from
grudge.
he escaped in Nebraska. How far away is that?
They're not far away from each other, but it's like he didn't care
Hmm.
unless he just had an axe to grind against that nephew. But I don't think it was that. No,
Roger snitched on him. Yeah, Roger had to pay.
it was my number one suspect is the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend. Number two suspect, the wife.
Hmm.
But
Marcella Shat.
maybe like I just don't see a woman using that type of violence though. I could see her shooting them.
Hmm. But yeah, it takes a lot of like force to
Yeah.
like bash
I
someone's
think
head
after
in.
like 3 hits, she would have been like so like hysterical and mad, but like losing energy to just continuously beat him. I
Should
think
be winded.
you have to be super crazy like Eve to do, to do something like that.
She got that look in her
Like
eye.
that anger has to fuel the power and the adrenaline.
Yeah, I think anyone that can harm a dog can do anything.
Right.
All right, well, that
Well,
it's very good story. You had a very good story because I knew the Hotel Quartet was based on something, but I never looked up what it was based on. But
it
that's
it reminds me of that song Hotel California by the Eagles. I love that song. Like if you really listen to the lyrics, it's like it reminds me of maybe
pain and
not.
suffering.
No, no, not. I don't know. It's just listen to the lyrics.
Okay.
Google them and read them.
Google.
Yeah. But okay, well, even though those stories weren't terribly sad,
Hmm.
I mean, other than so much unsolved
Death.
mysteries, yeah, we can still end this on a lighter note.
Yeah. Summer's around the corner.
Summer is around the corner,
The first summer of the new decade.
which is kicking everybody's ass.
Yes, indeed.
2020 came out the gate putting 20 on 10.
It's just cancel.
It's
It's just
just
cancel 2020 at this point.
like 2020 has been a rough ride,
Hmm.
and we're not even through March yet.
No, we are humans. We will power through this like we power through everything.
We will bounce back,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe.
Like this will be all laugh.
This will, I mean, thankfully, years ago, V and I have dedicated ourselves to be apocalypse partners.
Hmm.
So if anything goes down, we're in
We
it together.
yeah we know we got each other's back.
Yeah. Now, the rest of my nephews and nieces, I don't know what's going to happen with them.
We better keep up.
Yeah, because we have keychains. Like, we are official.
Yeah. My chain broke on that, but I still have the piece though.
I think my piece is somewhere.
Mm.
I'm like 99% sure it might be in my storage, but we know it exists.
Okay.
I can't order another one because they came from China.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah, yeah.
3 months out. 4 months out.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on stuff I ordered like at the end of January
Oh yeah, I'm
before
sure.
this really
Yeah, I'm sure.
hit the fan.
Hmm.
So, do you have any shout outs? Like last couple episodes, I've been giving a lot of shout outs.
I definitely shout out my friend Moritz Vinans. He's a friend of mine from high school, and we still keep in like contact on Snapchat. And he is a great supporter of the show. He lets me know like when he listens to episodes and when he thinks about them. And like on Tuesdays, he's like wait for a new episode.
All
So
right,
I
Moritz.
really appreciate Moritz. He's awesome.
Shout out to you.
My little bit of German that I can speak, just like to because like I mean he speaks perfect English, but like I still speak German to him because he is German, just because
Yeah.
But he's a cool friend of mine.
I want to shout out to our live studio audience, V's brother.
Clap track going off.
Thanks for supporting us.
Thanks for being patient for an hour and quiet.
Yeah,
Doesn't take him much though. He's usually quiet.
yeah. It's always those quiet ones you gotta watch out for.
I didn't say it.
Well, I guess this is the end.
I suppose so.
I'm Key,
And I'm V.
and this is We Shouldn't Talk About This.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.